was a cold Friday morning, the day after Thanksgiving. Most folks, including everyone at work, were kicking back. Me, I was standing in a tiny terminal, waiting on an even smaller plane to take me up to Canada. The job was simple. Check out a company called North Star Manufacturing. They had top-end CNC and robots, way better than what we had. Only 5 or 6 people worked there, though, and I wasn't sure they could handle our orders. Still, my boss made it clear. Go see for yourself. I could still hear the Thanksgiving talk from last night buzzing in my head. Honestly, it had been a good excuse to bail. We had 8 at the table. Me, Katie, my brother Chuck, his wife Annie, and both sets of parents. Of course, Mom had to bring it up. "So, when are y'all giving me grandkids?" she asked, eyes sparkling. Katie's mom jumped right in, nodding like crazy. Everyone stared at me. Dad just sat there, smirking, loving the heat I was catching. I was about to throw Katie under the bus when the phone rang. She bolted for it like she was running track, grabbed it, and shot me a look like, "Good luck, sucker." A few seconds later, she came back, frowning. "It's for you, babe," she said, handing me the phone. "This is Frank," I heard. "Frank Walters, my boss. Guy was married to his damn job. No way he could just enjoy a holiday without dragging someone down with him." I forced a grin. "Hey, Frank, happy Turkey Day." "Clint, buddy, hate to bug you, but I need you at the office tomorrow. Got an awesome idea." I already knew I'd regret whatever awesome idea he had. Hung up, told the family I had work to do, locked myself in the office, played some games, waited till the house started clearing out. Dad caught me before he left. "Man calls you on a holiday? Slave driver?" he muttered. "Maybe, but I'm playing the long game. He's got no sons. His daughter? No interest in the business." Dad chuckled. "She'll marry some guy who is." "Doubt it," I said. "She's batting for the other team." Dad shrugged. "Maybe her partner will be into it." "Doesn't matter," I said. "Frank's old school. No way he's handing the company to anyone he doesn't like." Dad just shook his head. "Hope he knows how hard you bust your A." Next thing I knew, it was morning. I was sitting in Frank's office, half listening while he pitched the trip. He sweetened the deal, big bonus, Hawaii vacation for me and Katie. One thing about Frank, he worked you hard, but he paid you good. He even booked me on a fancy private jet. No lines, no crying kids, no grumpy flyers. Plush seats, smooth ride. Hotel was first class too. He even said Katie could tag along. When I told her, she smiled that sad little smile. "Ain't gonna happen, cowboy," she said. "I love you to end, but I ain't missing Black Friday for Canada. Call me lots, okay?" Weather wasn't bad, mid-40s dry, so I cruised with the Mustang windows cracked. Left her in covered parking at the airport, still made me twitchy, leaving her alone. 2 days felt like a damn month when it came to that car. The boarding was a joke. Show ID, hop on. Already a few people there, 2 suits glued to laptops, an older lady reading, a sleazy businessman, and his secretary pretending to act proper. 2 scruffy tech guys rounded it out. I grabbed a seat in the middle, trying to stay clear. Then the noise showed up. An older guy stomping in with 2 young guys trailing him, loud as hell. Didn't give a damn about the stink eye everyone shot them. Right before takeoff, she walked in. Whole plane froze. She was not like Katie. Not like anyone I dated. Katie was tall, lean, fit, the type I thought I liked. This woman, short. Thick in all the right ways. Full curves that no blouse could hide. Hips that just begged for hands, legs built like trouble. And those eyes? Man, those eyes could make you forget your own name. Every muscle in me tightened up just looking at her. I sat there, hands clenched, brain melting. Even from across the cabin, her eyes had me like a damn moth to a flame. Took everything I had to look away. That look felt way too real, too close. I wasn't special. I knew it. Every dude on that plane, and hell, even a few of the women, probably thought she was staring just at them, handing out some magic that wasn't real. I sat there, mad at myself, when I spotted loudmouth guy already up, making a beeline for her with a nasty grin. But she was quicker. Before he could even spit out some cheesy line, she spun and dropped into the empty seat right next to me. "This seat free?" she asked, voice smooth as an old Motown track. I just shook my head, couldn't even talk. Nope, no one was sitting there. Her voice, her smell, just her being there fired up another wave of anger. Not at her, but at me. 35 years old, and not once had I even thought about cheating on Katie. I wasn't that guy, but the second this woman stepped on the plane, man, all those dumb love songs made way too much sense. Thing was, she didn't even know the damn damage she was doing. had my head spinning, my heart thumping, and worse, my jeans getting tight. Meanwhile, loudmouth guy sulked back to his seat, shooting me a glare like he wanted to fight. "You want the window?" I croaked out. "Sure, hun," she smiled, sweet as pie. "I like to see where I'm going. You're a real gent." Her words hit me weird. Hadn't even thought about her age till then. Could beauty even have an age? Didn't matter. She was just beauty, plain and simple. I helped her slide into the window seat, partly to be nice, mostly to keep her close. If she had sat on the aisle, half the damn plane would have been drooling over her. Now, she was all mine, at least for this flight. The engines fired up, we rolled toward the runway, and I yanked out my iPad, trying to act normal. Tried to read up on North Star manufacturing. Tried to forget the thoughts bouncing around in my head. Told myself, you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't touch her, you didn't cross the line. Just a stupid fantasy, it'd pass. And anyway, Katie didn't need to know. Never hurt her before, wouldn't start now. Guilt? Yeah, I'd felt it before. Came and went. I always handled it the same way. Came home, kissed her, treated her extra sweet. People thought we had it all. Nice house, Katie picked it. Good job, I busted my A for it. Couple kids soon, retire early, live the dream.
Most people would freak if they knew the real me. One fling and I'd be the town's scandal. They'd call me the worst woman here. But truth is, they'd love it. The single girls would want Clint, hoping to lock him down. The married ones would stick around looking for a shot. The men, they'd line up for a woman who doesn't follow the rules. Most people are just repeating the same crap. Happy wife, happy life. And don't even know what it means. Me? I wasn't happy. I married Clint hoping for something good, but I was always second to his work. The house, the gifts, the trips, they were just side effects of his real love. Work. Not me. And after a while, I needed more. If Clint wouldn't give it to me, I'd find it elsewhere. Kyle ran up the stairs like he couldn't breathe without me. "God, I missed you," he said, hugging me. "Jesus, Kyle, you act like I'm the only girl left." "You are," he said. "Only one I want." "How long we got?" I asked. 2, maybe 3 days, he said. We didn't even make it to the bed before clothes hit the floor. Later, tangled in sheets, he asked about Clint's Mustang. No, he drove it to the airport. His face dropped. I rolled my eyes. "Seriously, Kyle? I thought you were here for me, not Clint's ride." He turned red. No. Just thought it'd be fun, sharing something without him knowing." Then the phone rang. I grabbed it, heart pounding. After a quick call, I turned back to him. "You gotta go." "Wait, I thought I was staying?" he whined. "Plans changed. My mom and Clint's mom are coming over," I said, getting dressed. "I'll call you when they leave." Kyle dressed and left. I spent the rest of the day shopping, feeling guilty while the moms talked about how much Clint loved me. The more they said, the worse I felt. I bought more gifts, trying to fill the emptiness. At dinner, I kept thinking about Clint and the future we were pretending to have. Did I even love him? Maybe I just loved what his work gave me. Either way, I wasn't giving it up. I was hooked on Clint. And the life. Hurting him? That twisted me up. Divorce? Nah, that would ruin us both. At 35, I wasn't some naive girl. I'd seen what happened to women who split. They lost everything. Leaving Clint would only bring misery. And Kyle? I didn't like him like that. I liked how he made me feel, like I mattered. But love? Hell no, Kyle was a joke. 27, jobless, chasing some dumb rapper dream. His rapping sucked. I wasn't dumb, I knew he was after the cash. He liked the Zex, but love? Not even close. I got lost in my head, not noticing how late it was until Clint's mom spoke. "We better get you home, honey, so you'll be there when Clint calls," she said. My mom nodded. Clint should have called already. When I got home, still no call. I started to worry. We hadn't fought. He kissed me like he didn't want to let me go. So why hadn't he called? My phone rang. I grabbed it, heart racing. "Baby, why didn't you call? I was scared," I said. "You told me not to," came the reply. It wasn't Clint, it was Kyle. "I'm outside freezing. Can I come in?" he whined. Clint wouldn't go this long without calling unless something was wrong. Maybe he got stuck with clients. Could he know about Kyle? No way. I opened the door. Kyle was shivering. I saw old Ethel next door peeking through her curtains. Great. One more mess to clean up. Kyle came in, but I couldn't get into it. Something felt wrong. Later, he started talking. So, your man thinks you're all sad about him leaving? He laughed. Yeah, I said, keeping it short. What a fool, Kyle smirked. Yeah, I muttered. Clint loved me so much it hurt him to leave. Begged me to come with him. How dumb was he to love someone like me? Real dumb, Kyle said, not getting the hint. He doesn't even know you love me now, Kyle said. He works his A off buying you crap, giving you cash, and you hand it to me. It's like he's paying me to screw you. The words hung there, heavy. Of course I'd do it for free, Kyle added quickly. Hell, I'd pay to sleep with you, if I had money. We both knew he was full of it. I sat up, cold as ice. Let's be clear, I said. You think I'm some chick who sells it? No, baby, he stammered. So where was that going, Kyle? That's when it hit me. I was the fool. As soon as I get a record deal, he said, I'll take you out of here. You and me against the world, baby. And I saw it. Kyle wasn't my future. He was just a way to hurt Clint without saying it out loud. I didn't want Clint to quit his job and struggle. I didn't want to lose the life we built, but it was easier to stay bitter in secret, easier to betray him in the dark. As soon as the plane lifted off, I freaked. I'd never been on a plane this small before. I hated flying in general. If I had a choice, I'd drive. Big jets? I could deal. Tiny plane like this? Nah. No choice this time, though. I was flying back home after Thanksgiving with Aunt Alice at the nursing home. She looked rough. Maybe it was time to bring her back to Michigan. She was the only one in the family who didn't crap on me after she found out what I do for work. Speaking of work, that's why I was on this damn plane, heading to Toronto for a quick job. I didn't usually take short gigs. My work's, let's say, specialized. Not many people out there doing what I do. Still blows my mind I can even make a living off it. Different world now. People got all kinds of secret cravings. 20 years ago, someone like me would have been out of luck. The plane shook hard as we took off, metal rattling everywhere. Sounded like my old beater right before it died. I clutched the life jacket like it was a teddy bear. I'm used to getting stared at. Comes with the body. Progress or no progress, women still get looked at like meat. In airports, on streets, everywhere. This flight was no different. Eyes crawling over me like bugs under my skin. Then I felt it heavy on my left side. Turned, and boom. Hunter. One of those guys. You know the type. Could spot them a mile away. Hungry eyes, no shame. I started looking for a way out and found it. Right in front of me. A guy with soft brown eyes. He was looking too, but different. Yeah, he noticed my body, but he felt bad about it, embarrassed, guilty even. But kind. Really kind. The hunter stood up like he was going to make a move. I didn't wait. Slid into the seat next to Brown Eyes. Up close, he was even better. Warm. Safe. Right away, he offered me the window seat, putting himself between me and the creep. Like he was guarding me. For a second, everything felt all right. Then I saw it. He was pulling back. Not cold, just distant. Like he didn't want to crowd me. Maybe the type who helps and vanishes. I let it go and tried to chill. No luck. About 4 seconds after takeoff, there was this awful metal clang. I panicked and grabbed his hand hard, smashing his arm between my hooter and my side. Poor guy froze like a statue. Pretty clear he felt every inch he was touching. And yeah, he was turned on. I could tell. It's a gift. I'm scared, I said, my teeth chattering. He didn't pull away, just gently untangled us but kept holding my hand, strong and steady. Don't be scared, he said, flashing this big warm smile. Man, I could have drowned in those eyes. Flying safe, he added. I shook my head. Yeah? Then why when cars crash, people walk away, but when planes crash, they gotta scrape the pieces off trees? He laughed. You're overthinking. We just hit some bumps. Happens during takeoff and landing. Once we level out, it's smooth sailing. Smooth, I snapped. We're flying 300 miles an hour, in a beer can. He cracked up. I kept going. These planes are made out of tin foil. Back in the day, beer cans were steel. You needed Hulk strength to crush them. Now, A 5-year-old could do it. Why the hell are we trusting our lives to this junk? I was waving my arms without thinking, and yeah, things jiggled. Creep and his buddies noticed, of course. But Brown Eyes ignored them, just leaned closer and said real soft, "I'm Clint, I got you, nothing's gonna happen." "I'm Delilah," I said, squeezing his hand. "You better keep that promise." He told me about his trip, his work, his life, and yeah, he had a wife. Figures. Still sitting there, holding his hand while the plane buzzed along, all my fear just slipped away. I didn't want to let go. Not of his hand, not of that feeling. Look, I've always thought of myself as a good girl. But for Clint, right then, I would have broken every rule. If he'd asked me to join the Mile High Club, I would have said yes in a heartbeat. It wasn't just that he was hot. It was the way he talked, the way he saw me. Not just the body, me. And the craziest thing? Once we started talking, his eyes never left mine. Not once. He kept calling out my blue-green eyes, making my heart thud like a drum every damn time. I almost lost it when the flight attendant interrupted us, blabbing over the intercom that we were still on schedule, and landing in an hour. She mentioned a storm, but said we'd outrun it. Oh, and we'd need warm clothes for Canada. I saw her eyes bouncing between Clint's face and my chest. She couldn't decide if she wanted him or me, maybe both. I gave her a quick dismissive wave. Not something I usually do, but I wasn't about to let her ruin the vibe. She stormed off, and sure enough, the wolf slithered back up. "Hey, baby, you should check out the view from the other side of the plane," he said with that stupid smirk. "For what?" I snapped. "Isn't it the same on both sides?" "Well, yeah," he said, all cocky, "but maybe the company's better." "I doubt it," I shot back. "Besides, my eyes are up here. Try looking at them. They're on my face. Ever think about that? Now go sit down." "She must be into women," he muttered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Well, I guess that's cool," the flight attendant chirped, winking at me. Before I could even respond, a loud bang echoed through the cabin. Everyone felt it this time. The plane veered hard left and dropped like a stone. My stomach hit my throat before we leveled out again. Then more banging. I looked out the window. Flames were licking the left engine. Everything fell apart in seconds. I tried to stay calm, but then I realized I was screaming. I couldn't even stop myself. Clint covered my mouth gently, not to shut me up, but to remind me to breathe. In a panic, I scrambled over the armrest and threw myself onto his lap, clutching him like he was the only thing holding the world together. As scared as I was, I couldn't help but notice how strong he felt, how good it was to be in his arms. The plane rocked violently, tilting this way and that. We were dropping fast. Clint stayed sharp, scanning everything. He grabbed my hand and pulled us forward to a couple rows. "Please, sir, sit down!" the flight attendant screamed. Clint ignored her. He shoved us into a row, grabbed some hidden pillows, and pushed me down into the brace position. "Keep your head down, Delilah," he said calmly, squeezing my hand and giving me a smile that was all bravery. I wanted to scream again, but then, out of nowhere, Clint did something that shocked me more than the plane falling. He kissed me. With everything falling apart around us, I couldn't believe it. Before I even had time to process it, Clint tilted my head down and threw himself on top of me. The plane hit something, and the noise was like 1,000 bombs going off. The world flipped upside down. The floor became the ceiling, then back to the floor. The seats ahead crumpled under the force of the crash. Screams filled the air. 20 people. It felt like every single one of them screaming their lungs out. The final impact knocked the wind out of me, and then, nothing. Just black. I woke up to the sound of Kyle snoring like a damn lawnmower. I realized he'd rolled away from me, and so had I. Clint, even when we fought, always held me. With Kyle, I just felt alone. Maybe my mind was telling me the truth. Kyle meant nothing to me. I thought about where things went wrong. When I married Clint, I loved him. Still did. But I hated always being second to his job. I never told him how I felt. It wasn't hard to ask for stuff, but real feelings? No. I was scared to ask him to pick between me and work. Clint worked hard, but he gave me everything. The Mustang was his second passion after me. I never saw that before. I cried, realizing he loved me more than I realized. Kyle driving Clint's Mustang? Unforgivable. Clint would notice any scratch, any mile. Letting Kyle drive it would end everything. Did I want that? No, I didn't. Even deep down, I knew. The affair was a stupid act of rebellion. I sat there crying, wondering where Clint was and why he hadn't called. I shoved Kyle awake. "Go sleep on the couch," I snapped. "Why?" he grumbled. "Your snoring's keeping me up." "I don't snore," he protested. "You snore like a construction site." "Well, sleep excites me," he muttered. I knew then Kyle had to go, but maybe we'd make this the last night and make it count. "Well, Kyle," I said softly, "I can help with that."
I woke up in a nightmare. For a few seconds, I didn't know where I was. It was freezing, and snowflakes were drifting around me. Something warm, soft, and alive was pinning me down. I tried to move, but it wouldn't budge. It made noise when I shifted, debris. I could have moved it, but I slid out instead. When I did, I realized it was Delilah, the crash, the chaos, protecting her. I stayed calm. I was alive, and my body worked. No pain in my arms, legs, or fingers. The worst was a sharp pain in my back. I crawled out, shook her gently. "Delilah, you okay?" "I think so," she whispered. "Cold. My leg hurts." "I'm sorry. I'll get you out once it's safe." I stood up, looking around. It was dark, but a few emergency lights were on. The plane was in pieces. The front half was destroyed. The impact hit hard. Those people didn't make it. I had moved us forward before the crash. The part we were in was mostly intact. I swallowed the guilt. Nothing mattered but survival. I couldn't focus on the wreckage. Then I saw her, the flight attendant. She was gone. Her body crushed, but her eye was still open. Her mouth moved as if trying to speak, but then it went blank. The broken plane let snow pour in, and the smell of jet fuel hit me. Fire was already spreading. We didn't have much time. "Delilah, we need to go now," I said. "I like it better when you call me sweetheart," she whispered weakly. I tried pulling her from under the luggage compartment. She screamed, "Clint, stop! My leg's stuck!" I checked her leg. She laughed softly. "It's not the leg that hurts. You can check the rest later." "Sorry, just trying to figure out what's wrong." She smiled through the pain. Her leg was pinned. There was no way to free it without moving the seat. The fuel smell was getting worse. "Crap," I muttered. "I think you should free my leg first," Delilah said, still teasing. "We'd enjoy it more?" I smiled, scanning the wreckage. I found a seat frame with strong steel tubes. I wedged one between the seats, trying to pry them apart. It barely worked. Smoke and fire were closing in. "We need to get out now!" I shouted. I pushed harder, the metal groaning. The seats shifted. Delilah pulled her leg free. I grabbed 2 more tubes, desperate. "Listen to me," I said. "We don't know if your leg's broken, but you've got to move it. If we don't, this plane's going up in flames. If I can't move, you go," she said. "No way," I said. "I promised." I threw all my weight into it. The seat separated. Delilah's leg came free just as one of the tubes snapped. "Come on, Delilah. We gotta go." She could barely stand. I picked her up and made for the hole in the plane. The exit was 10 feet up, jagged metal everywhere. I pulled a piece of carpet over to the hole. "Sit on it. I'll jump, then you slide down. Keep that leg up." Before she could argue, I jumped into the dark. The fall hurt, but I stayed on my feet, surrounded by wreckage. I held my arms out, waiting for her. She slid down, landing in my arms. "If you wanted to kiss me, you could have just asked," she grinned. "This goes both ways," a voice said behind us. "Guess God's looking out for us," Delilah whispered. Once Delilah was standing on her good leg, the section of the plane we'd just escaped from went up in flames. I grabbed her and half carried, half dragged her away from the fire. "What's wrong with her?" the loud guy asked, walking over. "Her leg," I said. "She can't walk on it." "That's a shame," he smirked. "Be a pity to lose a set like hers." "You can't lose what you never had," Delilah shot back. He shrugged and walked off toward his crew. 2 guys, a woman, and a flight attendant tending to an injured man. They were scavenging supplies. The plane's tail was missing. Bodies lay scattered in the snow, some stripped for clothes. One guy ran back into the wreckage, shouting for help, while another followed. Then Delilah screamed. I turned to see the loud guy right in her face again. I rushed over. "Hey, man," he grinned, fake as hell. "Talk to my people yet? Thinking about joining us?" "Stop lying, a-hole," Delilah exploded. "He wants you to go with them because you're strong. He thinks I'm too hurt and will slow them down, and he wants to screw me before you leave." "I was just being real," he said, defensive. "Look, we're in the wilderness, no cell signal, no rescue coming. If we don't move, we'll freeze. Those who can't keep up are dead weight. And what about wanting to sleep with me? Delilah snapped. I just thought, damn, look at you, he stammered. We're good on our own, I said firmly. An explosion shook the plane. Screams rang out, then silence. Can we take some of those clothes you took from the other passengers? I asked. Delilah's cold. He laughed, mocking us. You're gonna freeze to passing, he sneered. Why waste clothes on you? Besides, she's used to walking around without them. To hell with you, Delilah spat. Anytime, anywhere, he shot back, grinning. The woman and the other man came up to him. It's starting to snow, the woman said. And Josh finally died, the man added. We need to move. See you later, the guy said, and the three of them left without a second glance. You probably should have gone with them, Delilah said, watching them go. You could have kept up. Why? I asked. We were almost 300 miles from our destination when the plane crashed, she said. They're not walking that far. I saw we were flying over some houses before we went down. They're close. Let's move, I urged. I'd noticed the plane's tail deeper in the forest. That's where the supplies are, I told her. Why go there? She asked. Because we need everything we can get. I knelt down, helped her onto my back, and carried her through the snow. The tail was farther away than I thought, and the snow was coming down harder. When we reached it, I kicked open the back section. Inside was chaos, but I found shelves with blankets. I grabbed a few and wrapped Delilah in them, then kept searching. I found first aid kits, food, water, and even some booze. I tied it all into a blanket and dragged it outside. I bent a sheet of metal from the wreckage and made a makeshift sled. I wrapped Delilah up, placed the supplies around her, and secured her in. Let's try to sleep, I told her. Are you warmer? She nodded, barely peeking out from the blankets. I started pulling the sled back toward the plane. After a while, she fell asleep. The last thing she whispered was a soft, thank you. I kept moving, my hands going numb. The effort kept me warm, but I was getting worn out fast. I had been used to running, but dragging this sled in snow was something else. I was losing steam. If I stopped, I might not get up again. I thought about Delilah and Katie back home. It kept me going when my body wanted to quit. Finally, I saw the houses about half a mile away. Relief hit me. If I'd kept walking straight, I'd have gotten there faster. I aimed for the houses. I reached a fence, pushed open the gate, and dragged the sled in. I found an old hunting lodge, abandoned, but solid. The front door was locked, but I kicked it open and broke into the office. Behind the desk were keys to all the cabins. I grabbed the key to cabin 6 and hurried back. I opened the cabin door, dragged Delia inside, and looked around. There was a fireplace, but no wood. After a quick search, I found a big pile behind the building. The top logs were wet, but I found dry ones underneath. Back inside, I stacked the wood, unpacked the supplies, and found matches in one of the kits. Using some old newspapers, I got the fire going. The warmth hit me right away. I moved the sofa closer, threw a blanket over it, and laid Delia down. I grabbed a flashlight and checked her ankle. It was swollen, but didn't look broken. I wrapped it up with an elastic bandage. Then I gently moved her leg to check her knee. I knew you'd get to that eventually, she teased with a tired smile. Want me to take off my skirt to make it easier? I'm just checking your knee, not that, I stammered, my face turning red. So you don't like my legs? She joked. No, your legs are fine. I sputtered. She grinned and shook her head. Where are we? And how'd you get all this stuff? I'm cold, but not freezing now. Clint, you're a lifesaver, she said softly. I handed her the flashlight while I finished checking her knee. It was just bruised, not as bad as her ankle. I guessed her knee would heal in a few days, but her ankle would take a week before she could walk on it. Delia yawned and slipped out of her jacket. Even in just a blouse, she looked amazing. I gave her a can of juice while I threw another log on the fire, planning to wake up at 3 a.m. to stoke it. I just wish we had something stronger for this juice, she said. After all this, we deserve it. I smiled, stepped outside to put the food on the porch to keep cold, grabbed a bottle of vodka, and poured some into her juice. I handed it back to her. I kicked off my shoes, grabbed another blanket, and laid down in front of the fire. Nope, cowboy, Delia said, patting the couch beside her. Come up here. I promise, I won't touch you in my sleep. We need each other's body heat anyway. A few minutes later, I was lying on the couch with Delia under the blanket, the fire softly crackling while the snow piled up outside. I drifted off, tired, and wondered briefly how the loud guy and his crew were doing in the storm.
Morning came, and Kyle was back in my bed, with new clothes. Okay, I sighed as he climbed in, trying to get some. When he touched me, I wasn't thinking about him. 2 days after Thanksgiving meant rent was due, and Kyle hadn't seen any money yet. Normally, sex with him was just that, no feelings. But today, my mind was elsewhere. The phone rang, and I barely got to it before it went to voicemail. "Hi, Katie, it's Frank," came the voice. My heart sank. "Heard from Clint?" Frank asked. "No," I answered. "Look, Katie, I didn't want to send him off at the last minute, but I consider Clint like a son. He's gonna run the business one day," Frank said. I was stunned. Clint had always said he'd run the company, but I never thought he'd own it. "What about your daughter?" I asked. "Sally will get my personal wealth," Frank replied. "But this business, it's Clint's. Maybe one of your kids will take it on." "Don't tell Clint yet," Frank added. "If he calls, tell him to call me back." "I will, Frank. But why hasn't he called?" I asked. "I talked to the Canadians. They're workaholics. Clint probably went straight to work. I sent him on a private jet. He's probably already flying home." I hung up, turned to Kyle. "Go," I said. "Clint's on his way back." "But what about—" he started. "Kyle, you want Zex or your rent?" I snapped. "Why not both?" he whined. "I wrote a song for you. It's called Why Are You So Cold?" I laughed. "Kyle, I know a lot of black people and none of them talk like that." I handed him a check, shoved his stuff at him, and kicked him out. It could have been worse. He could have tried performing the song for me. I spent the rest of the day cleaning like a madwoman. Clint would be back soon and everything had to be perfect. Then I remembered Frank's plan to leave the company to Clint. We'd be rich. Our life would be luxury, travel. I'd have kids with Clint as soon as he came home. Later, Frank called again. I still hadn't heard from Clint. "Katie, I have bad news," Frank said gently. "Did he call?" I asked, my heart racing. "When's he coming home?" "The plane's missing," Frank said. "It disappeared between Detroit and Buffalo Gap." I froze, barely hearing anything else. "We don't know if something happened yet," Frank added. "We just need to wait." I called my parents and Clint's. For the next week, I didn't leave the phone. Our families stayed with me. Frank called every day. Weeks passed, no news. Kyle showed up again needing money, but I didn't care. I was lonely. He said he missed me, loved me, even wrote songs for me. I didn't believe him. I just needed a distraction. Kyle was with me when they found the plane. The wreckage was scattered, pieces burning. Investigators said 13 passengers, maybe 15, including crew. They found 15 bodies. DNA testing was needed for confirmation. I spent 3 days crying, sure Clint was gone. Kyle stayed close, but I didn't care who saw him. 2 days later, everything changed. They found 3 bodies north of the crash site, 2 men, 1 woman. They had survived the crash but froze to passing trying to reach safety. It was hopeless, over 100 miles to the nearest town. Frank and I went to the site to identify the bodies. None were Clint. That night, after Zex, Kyle asked, "When do we get the check from the insurance?"
The next morning, I woke up realizing the fire had gone out. My watch was pinned under Delilah's body. That's why I didn't hear the alarm. Both my arms were around her. Guilt hit me hard. "Delilah, wake up," I said softly. "I'm not sleeping," she answered cheerfully. "We need to get up." "Nope, I'm good right here. Why should I go anywhere?" She looked at me with those blue-green eyes. Our faces were too close, and I had to fight not to kiss her. "Give me one good reason to get up," she teased. "Breakfast?" "That's a good reason," she smiled. "You want breakfast?" I nodded. "We've got enough food for a week if we ration. If no one finds us, we'll go back and get more." "Sounds like a plan," she said, brightening. "Let's eat." I started the fire again and heated some meals using the old iron grate. I found plates in the kitchen. After breakfast, while Delilah rested, I started looking around the lodge, figuring out what we needed next. There was a loft upstairs, but it was too far from the fire to be useful. We'd be sleeping by it for now. I was about to check out the other houses when I realized we were snowed in. The rest of the day was spent talking to Delilah. Our conversations were light, but there was a growing closeness between us. She liked teasing me, pushing my buttons. We'd talk about something normal, and then she'd hit me with, "You like me, don't you?" When I said I needed to go get firewood, she smirked. "It's cold out there." "I know, but I can't let you freeze." "You really can't," she added with a playful glint. I made a few trips for firewood, stacking enough outside to last us a couple days. When I came back, Delilah grinned at me. "Are you cold?" "Not really." "I think I warmed you up, so you wouldn't freeze getting wood for us." She laughed hard. "What's so funny?" "You got wood for me to get wood for me," she giggled, lighting up the room. I grabbed the blanket with the supplies and let her pick dinner. She chose the meatloaf. I picked the chicken parmesan. After dinner, I washed up using soap and water from under the sink. Thankful there was a sink, even if there was no running water. "I haven't gotten off my bum all day except to limp to the composting toilet," she said, yawning. "But I'm still tired." "You going to sleep?" I asked. "Come on, Clint," she said, patting the couch. "It's dark. We've got nothing else to do. Throw some logs on the fire and crawl under the blanket with me." We talked for a while before we fell asleep. Delilah told me her life story, everything, no holding back. I learned how wrong I had been about her. Her dad owned a small store, raised her right. She married her high school sweetheart, David, at 18. He joined the army, and they put off kids. They had a house, but he died in a freak accident the day before he was supposed to come home. Delilah was never the same after that. She struggled. Took her years to get back on her feet. At 28, she started waitressing. She got good at it, but the comments about her figure made her uncomfortable. Some guys even tried to bet on whether her melons were real. Later, she started doing solo, explicit photos to make money, always keeping a distance from anyone who might try to exploit her. "Clint," she said softly, "you remind me of David. You're shy, protective. When you talk to me, you look at my eyes, not my chest. But if I look too long at you, you look away. I know you like me." I didn't know what to say. She went on, "I know you're married. You're not going to take what I'm offering, but I want you, Clint. I want you so bad. I won't stop." "Delilah, we're good people," I said, trying to keep it together. "Good people don't cheat." "I'm not cheating," she said firm. "There's no one else." "Good women don't sleep with married men," I said, trying to joke. She laughed. "See? I just told you I make a living getting undressed online, and you still call me a good person." She squeezed my hand. "Good night, sweetheart," she whispered. "Good night, Delilah," I answered, closing my eyes, feeling the heat between us. As Delilah pressed against me, I wished I wasn't the Boy Scout she thought I was.
I didn't know how I was supposed to feel. The man I thought I'd spend my life with was missing, probably dead. On one hand, Frank and Clint's family acted like he was alive. They kept saying he was probably stuck somewhere with no service. Chuck, Clint's brother, was especially sure of it. Every time I saw him, he'd remind me that Christmas dinner was at his place, and Clint and I better be there. On the other hand, the insurance company didn't care about Clint or me. They wouldn't pay a dime without a passing away certificate. They wanted DNA proof one of the bodies was Clint before even thinking about paying up. My parents were more real about it. They started talking about funeral plans. I finally told everyone to back off. I didn't want visitors, didn't want their pity. I needed space to think. Truth was, I needed to figure out what I really wanted. For most of my life, I relied on my parents or Clint for money. Now the insurance was on my mind. If Clint was declared dead, I'd get $250,000. If the airline messed up, it'd double to $500,000. As much as I loved Clint, $500,000 was tempting. If Clint came back, we'd be richer together in a few years, but right now it was just me. Then there was Kyle. He smelled the cash and started being all affectionate, rubbing on me, trying to get Zex, clearly hoping to get in on my money. I'll admit, he distracted me from the grief. I just wanted it all to end. Either Clint came back or I got a fat check, and I wasn't sure which I wanted more. I kept Kyle around for 2 reasons. One, I didn't love him, but I liked the control. Life with Clint or any real man meant compromising. With Kyle, I was in charge. If I wanted him to do something, he had to. The witch in me loved that. The second reason? I didn't want to be alone. Widows get pitied or avoided. Half the guys treat you like glass. The other half act like you have the plague. I was still torn between wanting Clint back and the insurance money. but I was leaning toward Clint. Last night, while Kyle was rubbing on me, I thought about the kids I could have had with Clint. I realized it was better to have no kids than to have them with Kyle. Delilah, I thought. Only you could crash a plane and still end up happy. I was stuck in a cabin with Clint for a week, and every day we got closer. He was the first guy to show real interest in me in years, and my body reacted. Every night it got harder to resist, and the frustration grew because we hadn't crossed the line yet. If I could stay with Clint, I'd make him happy. I was sure he liked me too. I loved that he was still loyal to his wife. A few days ago, we realized both our phones were almost dead. Clint showed me pictures, one of his wife, another of his car. I was more into the car. His wife seemed cold and self-absorbed. I decided to lose a little weight, not because Clint cared about my body, but because I wanted to feel better. Her fake hooters were small and ridiculous. I had real curves, and men liked that now. Meanwhile, Clint massaged my sore ankle every day. I hadn't told him yet, but it was getting better. I was more confident I could walk again, and less willing to leave the cabin. Or him. We never got tired of each other. Every night we got closer. And last night it changed. We took our usual spot under the blanket. I pressed against him, teasing him. At first it was playful, but this time Clint rubbed back. I got more excited but didn't say anything, scared he'd stop. I guided his hand up to my chest. We started moving together, almost like Zex. I unbuttoned my blouse, savoring his hands on my skin. I moaned. Clint tensed. "I'm sorry," he whispered, pulling back. "Me too," I said. "It's a shame you stopped." "We both have people," he said. "I have Katie. You have Takai." I laughed. "Clint, there's no one," I said. "Takai's short for Hitachi. It's a powerful Zex toy." He blinked. "No one's touched me in years," I added. "Forgive me if I liked what we just did. You get credit." Clint tried hard. "Delilah, if I weren't married, we could have made it work," he said. "Shut up, idiot!" I cut him off. I knew if he said he loved me, I'd go with him. Before this, I would have laughed at the idea of sleeping with a married man. Now, I'd say hell yes and mean it. Almost anything for the right guy, except ruin the man I loved. I was relieved when he made the first move. He pulled me close and rubbed my belly. My moans were real. He wanted me. There was just a line he wasn't ready to cross. "So how do you celebrate Christmas?" he asked, trying to change the topic. I told him about visiting my aunt, giving small gifts to online coworkers I barely knew in person. I admitted I didn't have many close people. He sensed I was getting sad, so he quickly switched topics. "Your ankle's better," he said. "We can walk to the plane soon to get more food. Snow should melt by then." "Why don't you go tomorrow?" I asked. He looked at me like I slapped him. "You don't have to answer if you don't want to," I said. He stayed silent for a while. "I already know the answer," I said. "You don't want to leave me either. You're trying to find a way to stay longer, but you don't have to." "I want to stay because if someone finds the plane, we'll both be there to be rescued," he said. "If someone finds it, they probably have a car," I said. "You could drive back here fast." Silence hung between us. "Clint, can we talk about Christmas?" I asked after a while. "We can talk about anything," he said. "No, we can't," I snapped. "If we talked about everything, I'd ask about your feelings for me and your wife. That would make you uncomfortable." "It's Christmas," he said simply. "Exactly," I said. "We'll wait a few more days for supplies. If someone finds the plane, we'll be rescued. I'll go back to my life, you'll go back to your wife, and no one will know. I'll remember this, like a secret we shared. Maybe for you, it's precious. Maybe for you, it'll be something to forget. But the weather could turn. We might be stuck longer. Promise me something." "Okay, I promise," he said. He broke my heart again. "No, you can't promise until you know what I'm asking." "I'd do anything for you," he said. "Call it a Christmas wish," I whispered. "If we're still here on Christmas, I want you to promise we forget everything else. No talk about your wife or my loneliness. Just us." The room was quiet. "I promise," he said, his voice soft. We fell asleep holding each other. That night I made a decision. I had one more day before he might leave, and I was going to show him how much I loved him. The next morning I felt light. I limped around the cabin, loving Clint's eyes on me. While he started the fire, I undid a few buttons on my blouse. At breakfast, I saw Clint's hands shake and his eyes drift. I smiled innocently. "What are you looking at?" I asked, blinking sweetly. Clint nearly choked. I unbuttoned more, letting him see my cleavage, my bra barely covering me. Everything I did turned up the tension. Later, Clint grabbed blankets and a knife. "What are you doing?" I asked. He froze when he saw me holding my bra and undies. I heard him swallow. "I'm washing clothes," I said casually. "We've worn them for a week. I'll hang them by the fire." He nodded stiffly, then started cutting a slit in a blanket. "We only have light jackets," he said, throwing the blanket over me. Instant poncho. For a moment, our eyes locked. I thought he might kiss me. He stroked my hair. "I love your red hair," he murmured. I couldn't hold back. "I have an idea," I said. "Now I can wash all my clothes." I shook my hair out, letting my bosom sway beneath my blouse. Clint's hand clutched his chest. I smiled slyly and slowly unbuttoned my blouse, sliding it off. His eyes widened. Then I slid my skirt down, giving him a good view as I bent over. "Are you taking your clothes off?" he asked, voice tight. "I wanted you to see what you keep refusing," I said sweetly. "We've danced this before. My virtue's safe. But I was just going to put the poncho back on. Unless you want me to leave it off." That night, the tension was thick. I finished my food, licking my fingers, and smiled. "We have a big day tomorrow," I said. "Let's go to bed." I took off my poncho and lay on the couch, motioning for him to join me. He walked toward me slowly, shaking his head. I pulled his hands toward me. "Nothing's changed, baby," I said softly. "Same body you slept with." I put his hand on my stomach, then on my chest. He tensed. We both moaned. He started those slow strokes I loved. If the world ended, this would be how I wanted to go. "Clint, if someone decides to have sex with me tonight," I said sleepily, "please wake me up so I can enjoy it. No one but us will ever know." He kissed my neck. "Good night, Delilah," he whispered.
I'd never met anyone like Delilah. She turned my world upside down. Life used to be black and white, right and wrong. She brought all the colors in between. She made me feel things I didn't know I could. Part of me wanted a snowstorm to trap us here longer. I just wanted to hold her. One night we ended up face to face, her body pressed against mine. I had my hands on her soft A. Before Delilah, I thought Katie's athletic body was perfect. But now, if someone asked me to choose, I might not pick Katie. Delilah swore no one would know if we crossed the line. It sounded simple. Two happy people, no damage. But I knew secrets don't stay hidden forever. Katie would find out, and she'd be crushed. I'd have to sacrifice some happiness to protect my marriage. I watched Delilah sleep, her lips soft and inviting. What the hell was happening to me? I never thought about Katie this way, even after her surgery. Delilah's body made me want more. Light seeped into the cabin. We had to go, but I wanted to stay. Delilah was still asleep, and I leaned in and kissed her lips. "I knew it," she whispered. "It was just a goodbye kiss," I said, stammering. "Keep fooling yourself," she chuckled. "I haven't been asleep long," she grinned. "You just told me everything I needed to know." "Like what?" I asked, guilty. "Sorry," I mumbled. "I didn't mean to take advantage." "Take advantage of me?" She laughed. "I wanted you to." Her smile lit up the room. "Like what?" I asked again. "I'll tell you later," she teased. We got up and I rinsed my mouth while she made a show of getting dressed. She pulled her undies up those thick legs, bending a little longer than needed. Then she slid her skirt up, blouse barely covering her. An hour later, we were bundled in ponchos, walking out the gate. It felt like only hours since we first arrived. The sun was shining and Delilah seemed to glow. We reached the wreckage in no time. "Oh, crap," Delilah grinned. "Looks like they're not coming to save you." "They're not?" I asked. "Aren't you going with me?" she teased. "You need saving. From me." "One more night on that couch and we'll be having sex like rabbits," she laughed at my red face. "Well, I got ideas about that," I said, hiding my grin. "But I won't sleep with you until we get home," she said, crossing her arms. "Delilah, look up," I said, pointing. She looked up. "What?" "You're going to get your wish," I said. Those clouds are rolling in. We've got maybe an hour before the snow hits. We scrambled for food and supplies. You called the cabin home, she said shyly. I smiled. Let's get to work. I slapped her bum. We need food, water, and more of those liquor bottles you like. I may need to get you drunk, she teased. The wreckage looked different now. Some stuff was shifted around, but I figured animals did it. It was still cold, but the food stayed frozen. We laid out a blanket and started stacking supplies. Delilah found a purse and tossed cosmetics into the pile. Why that? I laughed. You don't need it. Oh, listen to you, she grinned. If you were desperate, you should have done something when you had the chance. I started, but she cut me off with a wink. Now it's my A you want, she teased, giving me a playful shake of her hips. Hey, get out of there, a voice shouted. We froze. You're messing with the evidence. A stocky officer stormed up, furious. How am I supposed to figure this out if you're moving everything? Look at this mess, he yelled. You're ruining everything. You're under arrest. Get the cops here. You could have just asked, I said. You remember where everything was? He snapped. No, idiot, Delilah screamed. We were on the plane. Arrest us if you want. You'll look ridiculous. The officer shifted. What's your name? Clint, I started, but Delilah cut in. Don't tell him anything. You're Clinton Connors, he shouted, suddenly excited. You're on the list. Call a helicopter. I'm a hero. He turned to us, puffing his chest. Sit down. After everything you've been through, you must be tired and hungry. The helicopter's on its way. I'm a hero, he bragged. You're an a-hole, Delilah spat. We're not getting on anything that leaves the ground. I won't even get in a truck that's too high. Why's she mad at me? He asked, confused. She should be kissing my A. I saved her. I think she didn't want to be rescued, I said. She had other plans for the evening. Less than 10 minutes later, we were in the back of a ranger's jeep, holding hands as snow started falling. You were wrong, Delilah said, squeezing my hand. We didn't have 2 hours. We would have had to carry all that food through the snow. I wish we could, she added softly. An hour later, we drove through a modern Canadian city. Investigators were waiting to question us. I called Frank. Clint, I knew you'd make it, Frank said excitedly. I'll reschedule your meeting for tomorrow. Katie's freaking out. I'll tell her you're okay. Frank, I cut him off. Don't tell her. I want to surprise her. What? If you tell Katie, she'll want me home right away. No meeting, no deal. Please, Frank. Got it, buddy, he said. My lips are sealed. They rented an SUV for Delilah. She wouldn't get on a plane again. She wanted to go back to Michigan. Funny, we both lived in the same state. I had meetings left, but I insisted on seeing her off. It doesn't matter, she said with a small smile. We had our adventure, and I have a secret. What secret? I asked. Nothing you need to worry about, she teased. But I have a question. Ask away. What were you thinking when you stared at my melons that morning while I thought you were asleep? I stammered. Don't bother, she chuckled. I already know. Since you won't say it, I won't tell you my secret, she said, her grin sly. I'll ask you a question instead. If you answer, you'll know my secret. If not, maybe I'll tell your wife. What's the question? I asked, uneasy. What kind of man squeezes a woman's bare chest, dreams of kissing them, but kisses her lips instead? Then with that mischievous smile, she kissed me deeply. Afterward, she climbed into her truck and drove off without a word. I stood there, stunned. Maybe what we shared was just a memory, not meant to survive. For me, it felt like losing my first love, intense and unforgettable. Time to put away the colors and return to black and white life. The Canadian deal was easy. They needed parts, we needed a manufacturer. Money was the only issue, and that seemed small after surviving a plane crash. I flew home on a big commercial plane. It was gray, lifeless. No color, no Delilah. When I got home, I saw my Mustang shining in the lot. I smiled, then frowned at the parking bill. I drove home, phone charging, watching messages pour in, calls from family, frantic texts from Katie. I imagined her face when she saw me. I even planned to film the reunion, make it like those surprise military homecomings, emotional, unforgettable. I crept to the front door, unlocked it quietly, and stepped inside. No Katie downstairs, but I heard noises from upstairs. Phone in hand, ready to capture the moment, I crept up. The bedroom door was wide open. Katie was on the bed, and some guy in fake gold chains was on top of her. I stood there, stunned, watching them. They didn't even notice me standing in the doorway. I was close enough to hear the guy grunt and Katie's muffled moans. Why wasn't I upset? I should have been furious, but I wasn't. I watched like it was a TV show. Then, right on cue, Katie slapped the guy across the face. "Kyle!" she yelled, giving me a name I could use for the divorce papers. "Yes, Kyle," I said, stepping forward calmly. "After 6 months of screwing this witch, you should have figured out what she likes, but don't worry, you'll have plenty of time. Now, both of you, pack your crap and get out of my house."
Clint was my hope and nightmare in one. I did the math. $500,000 sounds like a lot, but with bills, mortgage, car payments, insurance, it wouldn't last. I'd probably only see $250,000 after they blame it on mechanical failure or human error. Living on that? Impossible. Clint spoiled me. Kyle? A joke. I kept him around because I hated being alone. Then Clint came back and caught us in bed. I screamed at Kyle, but it was too late. Clint stood in the doorway, phone in hand like he was about to call the cops. Kyle freaked, tried to jump out the window but cut his hand. Clint walked up to him, still calm. "Kyle, can I call you Kyle?" Clint asked. Kyle nodded. Clint sat him down and threw his clothes out in the hall. "Here's your stuff if you want to get dressed." He turned to me. "He forced me," I yelled. Clint laughed. "Katie, you really think I'm that dumb?" He turned to Kyle. "Did you force Zex on my wife?" "Of course not," Kyle said. "I love her. I'll make it big as a rapper. I'll give her everything." "Good luck with that," Clint said, chuckling. "I thought I did that, and look where it got me." I couldn't believe it. Clint was happy? Really? "You never really know people," he said. Then I got it. Maybe Clint wasn't mad because he wanted this. But when I said the wrong thing, his face went cold. "Do you want him to take me again?" I asked, panicked. Clint's smile disappeared. He wasn't calm anymore. "Hell no," he spat. "You fool, get out of my house." "But this is our house," I pleaded. "I picked it. You bought it for me." Clint laughed bitterly. "Kids pick cars they can't afford. Doesn't mean they own them. Your name ain't on the mortgage. You don't own anything unless I die." Tears ran down my face, but Clint just stared, cold. The man who worshipped me was gone.
"Listen, Katie," I said calmly. "Maybe stay with your parents for now. Once you get a lawyer, we'll figure out who gets the house." "What agreement?" she snapped. "The one the lawyers will work out," I said. "I'll leave you the bed. I can't sleep in it again." "Which lawyers?" she asked, confused. "Why do we need lawyers?" "Oh, hell. Frank told you everything, didn't he? You're so smart, honey. If we're going to get rich, we need to invest." "What the hell are you talking about?" I cut in. "We're getting a divorce. We need lawyers. I don't want to stand in the way of your true love." "Hope you and Kyle are happy." I gave Kyle a high five to make my point. "We're not getting a divorce," she yelled. "No way. The only true love here is you and me. To hell with Kyle." "You already did it," I said coldly. "Got it on video. It'll be evidence." Kyle danced in the background, mumbling, "Evidence," like a clown. Katie looked disgusted. I started filming Kyle's stupid dance. "Kyle, take this phone," Katie snapped. Kyle froze. "Are you serious?" he asked, looking at me. She nodded. He turned tough. "My woman said give me the phone, so hand it over." I punched him in the mouth. He flew backward. I dragged him into the hall and tossed him down the stairs. "Get dressed and get out, or I'll call the cops and show them the video," I said. "But honey, we can fix this," she begged. "Get a lawyer," I said. "Start the process." She nodded, defeated. "Kyle," she yelled, "get up here and pack my stuff." "You're leaving with the clothes you're wearing," I said. "I'm still paying for that Lexus. It stays." Kyle hadn't spent all the cash Katie gave him. They had to take the bus to her parents. Katie was about to get a dose of reality. "These are my people," Kyle said proudly, standing up. "Look, I'll give them some—" Next, he started rapping. 3 old women tossed him off the bus, shooting Katie dirty looks. She jumped off after him, embarrassed. It took them 2 hours to get to her parents. When Katie rang the doorbell, they started yelling before she could speak. I'd already called them. I told them I'd keep her cards active and pay her lawyer as long as she didn't run up more debt. Her mom got the full truth out of me, and they were pissed. Kyle tried to speak, but Katie's dad, 68, kicked him out. The last thing Katie saw was Kyle limping down the street with her dad chasing him. My life felt like a scene from The Matrix. Like Cypher, I kept thinking, why didn't I take the blue pill? I buried myself in work all week. Then Frank called me into his office. "You're too tense, buddy," he said. "You survived a crash and a quick divorce. Take some time off. Find your happy place." I knew what to do the second he said it. I called my real estate agent, got a listing, and the seller was ready to go. I could take over or rebuild. I smiled for the first time in weeks. It was time to start fresh. I hit Home Depot, a couple of camping stores, then delivered Christmas gifts to my parents and in-laws. They got it. This year, I needed Christmas to myself. My Mustang couldn't make the trip, but luckily, I had a Jeep. It took over a day to drive through the snow. This was Canada. I planned to spend the day at the hunting lodge, figure out what to do with it. Maybe modernize the cabins, make it a retreat. I'd even invite the company for team building in the summer. When I got to the gate, there was a car parked there, squatters, probably teens sneaking around. But today, I wanted the place to myself. Opening the gate, I saw fresh footprints. Kids, maybe. I smiled when I spotted snow angels. It was getting dark. Those kids were long gone. I grabbed the generator, then headed back to the Jeep for the freezer. As I approached the cabin, I saw the fire. Someone lit the fireplace inside. "Okay, whoever you are, I'm the owner now. I want you out," I yelled. "No, you don't understand," a voice answered from the kitchen. My heart stopped. Delilah. "Delilah?" I gasped, seeing her. She grinned. "Took you long enough. I've been waiting for hours." "But how?" I stumbled over my words. "How did I know you'd finally leave your bony wife and come to me?" She teased, eyes sparkling. "I divorced that bony wife," I said. "But still," she reminded me, "we made a promise. If we were here for Christmas." "I remember," I said, crossing the room to take her hand. "But how did you know I'd show up?" I asked. "Divorced guys do anything for a hot girl," she teased. "That's not why I started, but she cut me off, grinning. "I know, Clint. You still have time to answer my question. It's not Christmas yet." "Great," I said. "We can unload the Jeep first." We unloaded the gear, sneaking glances at each other. It was clear why we were both here. "You were planning to stay a while, weren't you?" She smiled. "I took almost nothing with me," I admitted. I just wanted to remember." "Remember what?" she asked. "Our time here." "Our time here," I said shyly. With the fire burning and the heater going, I figured we'd sleep in the loft. But Delilah had other plans. She stripped down to her bra, slid out of her pants, and pulled a blanket over herself. "Get your A over here," she growled. I climbed under the covers. "Take off your clothes first," she ordered. I stripped down and joined her. She told me everything that happened after we parted. Loneliness, missing me, waiting for me to find her. "When we didn't exchange info," I said, "how did you know I'd show up?" "Not many adult film sites run by a woman named Delilah," she grinned. "Could have found me if you wanted." We caressed, talked. She asked about my divorce. I summed it up in 5 minutes. She laughed at parts. "Clint," she asked, "why were you smiling when that idiot was with your wife?" Because I realized I didn't need to feel guilty anymore. I said, "I didn't care." And that's the answer to your question. "Have you figured it out yet?" she asked. "I didn't kiss your bosoms because I was stupid, I guessed." She laughed. "No, darling. You kissed me because you saw a future with me, not just a body. You love me, stupid." "Yes, I do," I whispered. Snow began to fall again outside. Our first kiss was sweet, then things heated up. We made love in every way imaginable until exhaustion took over. Holding each other, she whispered, "Merry Christmas, baby." "It wasn't your gift, Deli," I muttered. The next morning, Delilah woke me up, grinning. "Are you making me breakfast like back then?" she teased. "You were the first up," I said, grinning. "Your turn." She pouted. "So now that you got me in bed, you're not treating me right?" "Go to the freezer, woman," I laughed. "There's something in there for you." She huffed and stomped to the freezer. Inside was a small box. She tore into it, then found another box, and another, until she found a ring. Her scream shook the cabin. "Are you proposing?" she whispered. I nodded. We wrapped around each other again. "Delilah," I said, "I swear I'll never be bored with you. I'll make you breakfast every day if you want." We got married after my divorce. 9 months later, our daughter Winter was born. Frank was a little disappointed our first baby wasn't named after him, but cheered up when our son Frankie came the next year.